Everybody wants to be able to close their deals well with great prices, but sometimes in negotiation, it's not about better scoping or showing them how technical you are. And this is unfortunately a mistake I think I see a lot of developers make when they're trying to run development agencies or trying to freelance. And I want to talk about one small change that I made, which significantly increased my pricing abilities. I think this change almost helped me double in prices since I started. That one small change was actually adding more than one price in a proposal, and specifically starting with the most expensive price and not recommending that one. It's a really, really simple change, but in negotiation, this is a common negotiation tactic. I'm not, showing something that's like completely new here. I just think a lot of developers don't think about this when they go into development negotiations. I'm going to start with what it is. So the first thing is just what this kind of tactic is basically having more than one price and price anchoring at a higher price. So that's what it's actually called. So basically let's say you ask me for a service and I can probably do it for $5,000 or $6,000. You create a package, which is $10,000. You create a second package, which is $5,000 or $6,000. And then sometimes if you're worried that $5,000 or $6,000 is too much for them, you create another one, which is like $4,000 or something like that. And so you have these different pricing options. And I'll explain, if you're wondering how do I price so differently, I'll explain that in a second. It anchors that price. The first number they see is 10,000. And when you see 10,000, then you see 5,000 or 6,000. 5,000 or 6,000 seems actually relatively cheap. After you see that big number, relative to that number, it seems like a lot less. It seems like a large discount. You can play with these discounts and basically create this big effect. There's lots of different options. This thing could be really expensive, or it could be actually quite reasonable for me. And the important part is to not suggest the most expensive package. That's where you're really able to build more trust than usual. And so in my proposals, I usually make a pitch deck and I usually present these proposals on call. I try and not present any prices through messages. I think that it greatly increases my ability to negotiate, see their reaction, and make sure they're okay with things. But usually I will open with the big number. Well, firstly, I go through the whole proposal and I explain this is about us, this is what we're doing, why we're great for the project, how we communicate. I actually don't talk a lot about the project specifications. I put that in another document which we can discuss asynchronously. But this call is really focused on just the proposal. And in that proposal, I will go through everything and then I reach the budget section. And I'll usually start with something along the lines of, this option is the kind of the bigger package if we want to get all these XYZ benefits and all that. That is how I open with that price. And then we go on to the second one and I'm like, but based on what you told me, I think this package with ABC benefits instead, I think makes a little more sense. It's a lot cheaper as well. And so I think it's probably going to be better for you. There are A and B drawbacks, but that's okay. I don't think you need those benefits anyway. And then maybe you can introduce another one. But what this does is when you recommend the second most expensive package, when you recommend anything that is not the most expensive option, you are showing them that you are acting more in their interest than in your own self-interest. Because it's in your self-interest to sell the most expensive thing because you make a lot more money, obviously. But if you show that you're willing to sell the second best thing for you in order to be the best thing for them, it establishes that you are working in their interest, not in yours. Your primary focus is their interest, not yours. And it should always be their interest, not yours. When a client asks for something that you can't deliver, you should be upfront about the fact that you can't deliver because you should act in their interest. I am suggesting to do this genuinely, not to fake it, but really try and act in their best interest, not in your own. And when you show them this example upfront, it really builds a lot of trust in that pitch directly. At least I have seen it happen with a lot of clients and it has worked really nicely. And also this makes the client relationship better when we work together actively. So that's something that's super helpful. In terms of like how to actually execute this, how to create those price differences when you're in development specifically, and I think this applies for most other industries as well, but you just have to get a little bit creative with what extra things could you do if somebody paid you more money. So if you could build me a website for $5,000, if I gave you 10 grand, what could you do for me more than the $5,000? Could you produce extra documentation? Could you, for example, do extra maintenance? What I've done before as well is sometimes I'll play with seniority of the developer. So for example, let's say there's a project and it's going to need 2 developers. Maybe I would recommend a package with 1 junior and 1 senior who can do the job really well. And then, the more expensive package is to have 2 seniors on the job the whole time, which is going to be obviously more expensive. And if they asked what are the differences, sometimes there can be a little bit of a timeline difference where the seniors do a little bit faster. The juniors might take a little bit longer. But overall, the junior plus senior package is going to be cheaper anyway. Some clients just prefer to have senior developers doing their work. Some clients don't care as much. And so you can let them be the judge of who they want on their project. You can play with seniority. You can play with also how much cash up front they give you. So you can give them, for example, you can set a more expensive option when they pay, let's say weekly. And then when you do the monthly payment plan, you get 20% off. So that's also something you can play with. You can play with kind of extra deliverables, timeline, and staffing, kind of who's on the project. These are the levers that you can really play with, and you just have to get a little bit creative, but you can ask GPT to come up with these packages for you. I came up with them myself, but you can generally figure these things out, and it can be a really, really powerful tactic. Yeah. And when you implement it, show the different things. It can make a massive impact on your pricing power, and you can test different prices and slowly move up, but people will trust you more. And so you're usually able to sell them on a slightly higher price. Over time, you can also test different packages because you present more than one option at once, so you can slowly move up. Anyway, I hope that's useful for anybody who's trying to run a development agency. Leave any questions in the comments below.